I don't know about you guys, but I say it's about time we have a black samurai. This is the Yasuke anime review. Let's go, guys. What is up? This is your boy Andy Matrix. Welcome to Andy Arts TV, where I talk about anime, movies, video games, Japanese culture, geek culture. And today we're going to be reviewing the Netflix Yasuke anime series. That's right, it's a series. It's funny because when I first saw the trailer, I was very convinced that it was going to be a movie. It looked more like a movie. And the animation was so good. I mean, the animation was really good. Very smooth, very colorful. And yeah, but it was a 6-episode series, and hey, I'm happy. I'm not complaining. I say they gave us what we wanted. A Yasuke anime. It was really good, and it was longer than expected. So just to summarize the entire story before I go into the pros and cons of the anime. The Yasuke anime is basically, it's about, in case you didn't know, it's about the first foreign samurai. So a lot of people think that the British, like some British guy was like the first samurai, or some European guy that got to Japan. Either the British will be like one of the first samurais. No, Yasuke was brought to Japan historically in the 1500s by a Portuguese slave owner. He was a slave. He arrived in Japan. Some Portuguese guy brought him there historically, and then Nobunaga Oda basically turned him into his own, one of his warriors, one of his samurais. So it's historically accurate in that sense, that it was very true to its origin. But then the story has a more magical element. Yasuke is one of the one of the lead samurais, one of the generals of the Nobunaga samurai legions, right? But the story is about him protecting this girl with magical powers, and this girl with magical powers there are people that are trying to use her for their own benefits, for their own greed, for their own greedy ideas. And Yasuke is basically the protector, right? He kind of gets caught up in the story, but it takes place in feudal Japan, which I love everything that has to do with feudal Japan. It's one of the reasons why I really love Samurai Champloo. And this story, it did not disappoint. Now, granted, there are some things that I didn't like about the Yasuke anime, which we'll talk about in a second. But overall, the anime, it was true to its origin. And it was very realistic as to how Yasuke was treated in Japan. So of course Yasuke is this dark-skinned African guy. We don't really know what country in Africa, what part of Africa he came from. I'm guessing he looked, his skin is very dark, so I'm guessing it's more like I guess it's Western Africa, West African, right? I think it was from that region that he was captured as a slave and then brought to Japan by the Portuguese. So in the anime, when Nobunaga first sees him, they tell him, hey, this man needs a bath, which I thought was funny. And then so they give him a bath, and they see, oh, how come he's still, oh my god. It's kind of racist, but it's very true, because this is how, if you go from one country to the other, you see all these differences. It's very true. So when Yasuke takes a bath and they still see that he still has dark skin, they're like, oh, how come the dirt doesn't come out? I was like, holy shit, that's kind of racist. And then Yasuke says, oh, this is my skin. I was born with black skin, right? Because they never seen a foreigner. And the Europeans that used to go to Japan back then, they were all light skinned. They were all, their skin was similar to the Japanese. They were either tan, or they would have they'll be light skin. So the magical stuff was pretty good. It was unexpected, but it was pretty good. I was not expecting so much, all this magical element, all these characters with magical powers. I was not expecting that. I was kind of expecting more of like a Rurouni Kenshin war-like environment where the main character is constantly, fighting somebody, which he was. But in this anime, they kind of, they have flashbacks of like 20 years ago when he was, a samurai working for Nobunaga, and then 20 years later when he, quit being a samurai. So feudal Japan is always fun to visit, as I said. 6 episodes. The story was better every time Yasuke was, when it switched to Yasuke, because there were other characters, but like, it wasn't that interesting. But when the story switched to Sasuke from the little girl, or from the villains, it got better. Like, because the thing is, you watch this anime and you just want to know more about him. I want to know more about Yasuke, his past, his skills. I want to see him fight it. I want to see him fight. Show the samurai skills. And yeah, you just kind of want to be focused on him. You don't really care about the other characters. The other characters are just kind of there to make the anime look cool, which it did. It did. There was a shaman. There was an African shaman there that had this really cool power. And oh yeah. So one of the things that I didn't like about this anime is like there was a fucking robot. Why was there a fucking robot in feudal Japan? And I think because they added so much of this fantasy element, they thought it was okay to throw some sci-fi in there for whatever reason. And it felt really out of place. Like it felt a little bit like Afro Samurai. There were some things that felt like out of place, but it didn't take away from the story. See, that's the thing. Throughout the whole thing, you're on the tip of your seat. You're just kind of enjoying the story and wanting to know more about Yasuke and his story. You just want to focus on his story. But the other characters, they do it onto the story to make it. They make everything else kind of like look cool. But I didn't like the fact that there was a fucking robot there. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they thought it was okay to do that, but it's there. I don't know. They didn't even bother to explain, like, did the robot come from the future? I know, because there were other characters that came from other lands. There was a priest there. There was a priest, a Catholic priest, and he was there because he wanted to capture the girl so that he can take her back to Europe and, basically help rule the land with her powers or whatever. But the robot, it was never explained why he was there, where he came from, was he an alien, like what the hell? That was the only turnoff, like the thing that had me like scratching my head, like, huh? Besides Yasuke and the girl, I forgot her name, they were the only interesting characters. All the other characters were pretty cool. And again, like I said, I was not expecting the magical element. And for the most part, it was true to his history. By the way, which I forgot to say this, Yasuke is actually not his real name. His real name, he has his own, African name, but Nobunaga named him Yasuke. He kept that name, that Japanese name. And yeah, he just kind of rolled with it because, if you're in a different land, you have to adapt. You can't just be stubborn and think that you could just, be whatever you want. You have to adapt to the land, you have to adapt to the culture, you have to adapt to the time in feudal Japan. And again, back then, Japan was always this very conservative country, very traditional. They were very culturally isolated. Even when the Chinese came there, yeah, sure, the Japanese took ideas and things from the Chinese, but they were always themselves. They were always Japanese. They were always this, very conservative culture. So when they see this black man, this African guy there, it's very, it was very, people didn't know, right? However, that being said, Yasuke was treated just like everybody else. So he was not mistreated because he was dark skinned, because he was African. Nobunaga took him as a samurai warrior. He was among the ranks, right? And when he was in the village, everybody else saw him as, just another person. Yeah, sure, he was dark skinned, but they treated him as a person. And I think this is part of the, the Japanese culture, being polite to people. It was, which was very true back then and now. And I like that realism of the anime, and I really appreciate it, actually. So, that is it for my Yasuke anime review. I hope you guys like what I had to say. I hope you go and check it out. It's on Netflix, okay? $9 a month, Netflix. If you don't have a Netflix membership, do sign up and pay for at least 1 month to watch the anime. I don't like to pirate anime because I know how hard these creators work. If you know anything about the anime industry, a lot of anime fans, a lot of animators in Japan, they get treated like shit. They don't get paid a lot. So I always try to put money, where my entertainment is, and contribute and give money to the anime industry, and give these animators the dollars that they deserve. So anyways, guys, that is it for this video. This is your boy Andy Matrix, and Andy Matrix gives this anime I'm going to say a 9 out of 10. I was going to say 8.5 out of 10, but I give it a 9 out of 10 because it was really good. It didn't disappoint. It would have been a complete 10 if it wasn't for that fucking robot in the story. But other than that, make sure you like this video. Comment below. Tell me, are you going to watch the Yasuke anime? Are you going to watch it? Do you have a Netflix account? Go over there right now and start watching it. It's only 6 episodes. And subscribe to the channel. Subscribe for more videos, news, vlogs, and fun here at Andy Arts TV. Catch you guys later.